What is up, YouTube? It is Tristan back with another video. It's been 3 whole years since I've been on YouTube. I'm glad to be back, but I just want to give back to the community and just talk about my experience working at Amazon. To start off, it was around 2 to 3 years ago when I was working at Amazon during college, paying the college tuition, bills, paying my daily bills every day. And it was quite the experience. Now I've graduated and got it started with other things, but I just want to talk about my time from the start of Amazon all the way to the end. Now, during that time of my life, I was kind of, just looking for a job. I quit my other job because of various reasons. So I was, in quick search of another job that was pretty good at, paid basic bills and provided me and left me with expenses left over. But what happened was I was just looking online, let's say on Indeed, I believe 2 to 3 years ago, it was on Indeed. I was looking online and then I saw a job opening for Amazon, which was weird. I've been trying to get on at Amazon, let's say for a while at that point, 2 to 3 years, off and on, while I had other different types of jobs. So the fact that I saw Amazon opening from the Amazon company itself, to me was wild. I clicked and gave them my information, filled out the application and everything. And within 5 to 10 minutes, I was good to go in for drug testing, which to me was crazy. I was kind of bamboozled because there was no interview process or anything, which to me was wild at the time because that's never happened to me when I applied to any job. I was pretty much good to go for the interview. The job paid $17 an hour, which for me at the time was really good. As a college student and everything, they provided great benefits. It was for a full-time position, but I remember that I worked 30 hours. You can get 10 hours off because I was studying full-time. So I was able to get, 10 hours off a week or whatever. So I was in a pretty good position. Then I went in for drug testing and it was pretty quick and smooth. It took around an hour or so for drug testing and to fill out the paperwork. And then after that, I was pretty much good to go. I was good to start, I believe, in 2 weeks. From then, it was around holiday season of 2023 when I first got hired on at Amazon. So I had to wait 2 weeks and then go in for, I guess, orientation or whatever. Now, fast forward to orientation, my first day at Amazon. We brung a lunch, everything. I was on the normal day shift. When I was working at Amazon, I was scheduled for day shift because I couldn't do night shift. You people who can do night shift, props to you. But me, I just prefer day shift. I don't want my, I don't want my sleep ruined or my schedule and time outside of work ruined. So I just prefer the day shift at Amazon. Now at that point it was holiday season, so the sun would come up later and the sun would go down later as well. So there was less daylight in the sky. I went in on the first day. It was early as crap in the morning. I worked from 7 to 5. Yeah, 7 to 5:30. Yeah, 7 to 5:30. And when I showed up to work on my first day, it was dark outside. We go ahead and go in. Me and a bunch of new people go ahead and go in, and we're all huddled around, waiting on them to pass out our badges before we're able to get inside of the actual building. So everyone's kind of scrambling, trying to get their badges and everything. Trying to get their badges. I got my badge finally after a huge line. They hired on a bunch of people, like hundreds upon hundreds of people, only for that shift too, which was wild. So we go ahead and go in and we get ready to start orientation. So we go into the front, I believe not break room, but like conference room or something like that. They introduce us to the company. They welcome us to the company. Mind you, there's hundreds of people there. And everything, we start filling out paperwork. They give us basic information about the company, the structure of the company, and everything like that. And it was pretty good. It was pretty chill at that point. Eventually, they go on to give us a site tour. Mind you, before this, I've never been inside of a warehouse before. That was my first time ever being inside a warehouse. So when I walked in, mind you, for the first time, I was like, damn, this is like a factory or something. I've never been inside a warehouse. I just thought warehouses looked like huge back rooms, but Amazon warehouse had all types of crap. Like they had robots moving around the warehouse, people with hard hats on. I didn't know it was that serious when I first started the job. But yeah, they gave us a site tour. We started walking around Amazon, and yeah, the warehouse was huge. This one was by the airport in my city. The warehouse was huge, multiple different departments. We see workers everywhere. They're wearing vests, hard helmets, everything like that. During the tour, we're seeing robots moving around and everything. So it was huge. Amazon, I learned at that point, yeah, this is why they're one of the largest companies by market cap in the world. So fast forward, I don't want to talk about orientation too long. We finished orientation, and at the end of the day, you know, we kind of start working for an hour, putting boxes on conveyor belts and everything like that. First day is actually when I met one of my close friends. But yeah, after that, we were good to start working actually on the next day. So we were good to start working and receiving like actual on-the-job training the next day at Amazon. That first week at Amazon, they ended up training us, teaching us everything, you know, warehouse safety, how to operate certain equipment, machinery that we'd be using, like conveyor belts and all of that, pallet jacks and stuff like that. So it was pretty chill at that point at Amazon. I was kind of dreading to work, to be honest, because I felt like, of course, it's boring. All you're doing is putting boxes on conveyor belts. But Amazon was honestly such an easy job looking back on it compared to like what I'm doing now. To give an overview on my first few months there, mind you, I was at Amazon for a little over a year. I stayed there a little over a year. The first few months were cool, but I was a freaking idiot. And one day I left my badge home, I think the first or second month. So I ended up piggybacking behind someone. Like they put their badge, they scanned their badge to be able to walk in the warehouse. And I just walked behind them, but since there's HR in Amazon, I went to HR immediately and told them I forgot my badge. See, at that point, I didn't know what to do when you forget your badge, but something serious ended up happening. They ended up walking me to the front or whatever into a conference room with like a bunch of managers and kind of lecturing me. They were cool about it, of course, but they ended up giving me, I believe, 2 strikes. So I was kind of like on the last strike, the final strike, when it comes to being written up and everything, my second month there, which kind of had me like annoyed and stressed, but it was all good as time went on. That eventually went away, but yeah, I was an idiot for piggybacking behind someone. I just honestly didn't think about it. It was super early in the morning and I forgot my badge. I didn't want to drive home in traffic or anything like that, but yeah, it was chill up until that point. Now, when it comes to my specific department, I was in inbound. So that's when the trucks and all the freight was coming in to the warehouse and building. We had to unload trucks, put ore. There was another station in which you had to put boxes on PMTs. And then, of course, there was water spidering. Within my department, we switched kind of job duties like every single day. So if you were water spider in one day, you switched and did the trucks another day, and then you switched and did PMT another day. So they moved you around. Now, mind you, my first few months there, it was actually pretty cold. So the trucks were my favorite point. At this point, I met one of my closest friends now to this day at Amazon. So we would try to get on the trucks every single day because it would just be me and him on the trucks unloading it so we could talk, you know, kind of be on our phone a little bit and everything. So it was pretty chill. But when it comes to the PMT, that was also chill. But the only thing about PMT you had to worry about was management. You were nearby management in my warehouse when you're on the PMTs, putting boxes on the pallet jacks, which was kind of it kind of sucked, but it was an easy job. But when it comes to water spidering, let me get into water spidering. Now, okay, in the future, I ended up moving to a different department because of water spidering. But water spidering in other departments was not the same as water spidering and inbound at the specific warehouse that I worked at. So water spidering, what sucked about it is the fact that we were oftentimes pulling like heavy pallets all the way around the warehouse. My warehouse was huge, and inbound docks were, let's say, in the back right here, and then outbound docks were kind of far on the side. They were on the sides of the warehouse. So you had to move, you had to pull the pallet like halfway across the warehouse, which was pretty tiring and annoying when you're doing it for 10 hours a day, which was crazy. Even for me, water spidering and pulling those heavy pallets across the warehouse every day freaking sucked. And I work out all the time. Like, I was not even as motivated to work out because of, you know, me having to pull those pallets and stuff every day. I mean, when we were pulling them, we were like, some of those pallets we had to really walk and, or even have two people to a pallet. And this is with the pallet jack, by the way. Now, my Amazon in my department, since I worked Thursday through Sunday, I had the same management on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but a different management on Sunday. Now, my group, whoever chose to work our shift in our kind of department, that Thursday through Sunday shift, we ended up lucking out because Sunday management came from like the pits of hell. They were insane and horrible. Your management, let me say this, your management at Amazon will matter a lot. That Sunday management, they were constantly on our asses. They were telling us, move this, like every single time. You're on your phone, they roll people up. They were constantly in your face telling people to go faster. It felt like slavery working under that management as opposed to my normal management from Thursday through Saturday. We were chilling Thursday through Saturday. The first, 3 days out of the week. But on that fourth day, which it kind of sucked because that was our Friday, we had to get it because they were on us. What was also crazy was that the weather mattered a lot at my Amazon warehouse. During the winter time, it would get pretty cold in the warehouse, and then during the summer, it would get pretty hot. Now, the summertime was brutal because this is when no one liked to be in the trucks. Everyone kind of preferred to be in the trucks, during the winter, fall, spring. But when it hit the summertime, oh my goodness, no one wanted to be in the trucks. They would have temperature checks. They would literally get like a thermometer or something and check the temperature of the truck. And oftentimes they were constantly over 100 degrees. People drenched in sweat in the trucks. That was pure hell. They did provide us, popsicles, and, we had like slushies or something, like electrolytes and everything in order to stay good and healthy. But it was pretty brutal working at Amazon in Texas during the summertime. I do not recommend it. And if you do work, you have to work there during the summertime, good luck. You need to get in shape before because it is going to be tough. Honestly, I'm going to make a video about the pros and cons of working at Amazon, like everything I disliked and liked. But one of the things I disliked was the break time. The break structure, I'm going to break this out in a video on purpose. But the break structure sucked purely because you only got 30-minute lunch break, okay? You only got 30 minutes. Where we were inbound was the furthest department away from the break room. So we had to walk the furthest to get into the break room. So it oftentimes took us 5 to 10 minutes to walk to the front because the warehouse is so huge. And by the time we get up there, we only have like 20 minutes during lunch to eat something and get something, which that was completely horrible. I wish that honestly we had longer lunches, especially, working so hard. It's physical manual labor at Amazon. I wish we had long lunches when I was there. One of the things I love the most about working at Amazon was the, UPT, PTO system, whatever they call it, the time tracking system. You could show up late as long as you have enough time. You can show up as late as you want. Or you can leave as early as you want. Or you can take PTO whenever you want. Like, I would be there during the day working, not feeling like doing this, and then decide to go home and just use PTO and get paid for it. And it was extremely simple to do and use up your time on Amazon. You didn't have to go to a manager about it. You just leave in the middle of your shift. Now, out of courtesy to the manager, a lot of people would, leave and everything, but you could leave whenever you wanted when working at Amazon. The other thing that I loved about Amazon is that they assisted me in, paying for my school and college. I believe they paid $5,000 a year for college students, which, of course, when it comes to college tuition nowadays, that's only a portion of the total tuition, but it does help. That's a great benefit. I didn't even know about that benefit until I started working there. So it ended up working really well in my favor. Or even with people who want to go to trade school, get their CDL, and do things like mechanics and all sorts of other types of things, they help you pay for it, which I highly recommend anyone that works there, especially if you're not already in school or something, take advantage of that system. I also like the fact that they, kind of kept giving us raises at Amazon. I believe 6 months in, we got a 40-cent raise. And then a year in, we ended up getting, I believe, like a $2 raise, something because of either inflation or the market. But we ended up getting a $2 raise. So it ended up working well. I was making, I think, close to $20 an hour after only 1 year of being there. So that was, a $3 raise in 1 year. Insanely good. For that type of job, requiring no interview, requiring no skill set or anything, I felt like that was a good deal. Now, would I recommend working at Amazon? I definitely recommend it. I'd recommend it more so for guys than girls because that's kind of a masculine type job. There's people out there, when one hot girl is in the warehouse, all the dudes are trying to hit on her and, date her and all of that stuff. So I don't recommend it if you're more so of a girly type girl, but if you're, a girl and you know how to handle your own or whatever, then I recommend it. But I recommend it for, any guy that wants to make decent money while you're in school or, just to get your life started. It can really help you kind of propel things. There's plenty of opportunities for overtime, especially during holiday season. And, it pays, it's pretty difficult to find a job that pays near $20 an hour, $21 an hour, $22, $19 an hour without any experience, without any interview. And that is that easy. Now, don't be wrong, it was tiring. But working there was easy. All you're doing is moving boxes or moving things around. You're working with your body, not your mind. And they let us listen to music on our headphones. So it was a chill job. I don't recommend it forever, of course. Get your money up. Try to make as much money as you can. But I would definitely use it to, stack money during the time. Build yourself up and, really help propel your life forward. But yeah, that was pretty much my overall experience about my time working at Amazon. I pretty much, at the time, don't get me wrong, a lot of times it sucked and I hated it. But looking back, I'm actually glad I worked there. I benefited a lot from working there and it taught me a lot. So if you guys want more videos like, tips for working at Amazon, things I rate, pros and cons of working at Amazon and everything, and even the craziest things I saw at Amazon, let me know down in the comments.